city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby, they don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
That Dre season is here. A real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz. And I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on to the hearse. Party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping, but I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building, my whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Grand Rising, everybody out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. Happy Thursday to you, or as I like to say, Friday Eve. We have a great show for you. And on this short work week, I got to say, man, it's crazy because it doesn't even feel like a Thursday. Got to bring in my guy, Big O. What up, Big O?
Trey Holiday.
Hey, what's good, buddy?
Yeah, it's nice. It's a Thursday.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, it's nice. This week is moving along.
Yeah.
I'm ready for tomorrow. You looking nice today.
Yeah, you too. Blue and pink. I'm with it.
Yeah, I'm saying it's coordinated.
Yeah.
Coordinated.
Great work.
Good morning and welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show. And remind you that right now is the perfect opportunity for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over at the South Seattle Emerald and KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College. Remind everybody right now that you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcasts. Right there, they got SoundCloud on the screen and then the links, but you can also listen on Google, you can listen on Spotify, and on iTunes as well. This is also the part of the show where we remind everybody that the COVID-19 vaccine is readily available throughout King County. We've got a link there in the comments. If you want to get vaccinated right here in King County, you can click the link. You can find somewhere that's close to you where you can get vaccination. And also, in some cases, they can bring the vaccination to you, get vaccinated at home.
Yeah, for anybody who has mobility issues or, is, got anxiety issues, don't want to get out there in a crowd or something like that, they are definitely, providing the vaccine for you at home. So please look into that link. And, hey, it's readily and easily accessible here. Oh,
yeah, no, for sure. What we're talking about now, the Mariners, we'll put this up. We're invited. We still got a few tickets left. We've got the M's. We're going to the game. There it is. You got it there, Curtis. Okay. We're going to Sunday at 1:10 p.m. We're going to the Mariners game. We got a few tickets left. You can put the slide back up there, Mr. Delgado. Thank you. So people can see the information there. You can email at info@whereweconverge.com. We'll keep that right there. info@whereweconverge.com. Send me an email if you want to attend the Mariners game. We still got a few tickets left. It's filling up. We got quite a few emails in. Carlos yesterday was like, yeah, he wants to come as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Great seats, by the way. 200 level. Club seats.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Doing something. All right, before we get into the headlines, it's time for our quote of the day. From Frederick Douglass: if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Trey Holiday.
Hey, yeah, that reminds me of what you said, about taking our foot off the gas. I mean, clearly, when we think about what it means to challenge status quos, that's how we actually see a lot of the forward progress that we've seen throughout our history in this country and globally. And so Frederick Douglass is absolutely correct when he talks about no struggle, no progress. We have to continue to press. And that's why I'm always saying, if you guys are out there and you guys are experiencing racism, discrimination, microaggressions, whatever they want to call it, be sure that you're the one to challenge it, because that's how we move forward and create new norms that are actually rooted in equity. And that's, for me, what progress is all about. Nice.
Rooted in equity.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. All right, first up today, the signatures from Recall Sawant were delivered yesterday. About 16,000 signatures, and they were delivered. So, it's going to go on a ballot. This is a clip right here from King 5 talking about yesterday's activities.
That's right, Joyce. Organizers say they have more than 16,000 signatures on petitions, which, if they're validated, could trigger an unusual vote in Seattle history. If Seattle politics are at times like a three-ring circus,
thanks. Have a good day.
Then this would be just the latest act.
It's about holding a politician accountable.
A twist for an elected leader who often thrives on the theater of it all. Three-term council member Shama Sawant already admitted to one ethics violation for misusing city funds, but today's recall campaign says she should be ousted for unlocking City Hall during the pandemic for a protest, risking the health of city employees, and leading a march to the mayor's home last summer, which resulted in vandalism to Jenny Durkin's house.
She has not upheld the oath of office. I mean, number one, she didn't care about public safety in her whole sector.
Prominent civil rights leader Reverend Harriet Walden backs the recall.
We need people encouraged in this town who's willing to stand up to the bullies.
Walden stood behind the stack of petitions, which dwarfed a collection of signatures gathered by Sawant, including her own, a calculated move to press the issue to the November ballot.
It is too late to make it onto the November ballot.
But King County Elections says if a specific number of signatures are validated,
they need 10,687 signatures.
The measure will be sent to voters only in Sawant's district with a single issue ballot later this year, one she's already characterized as bankrolled by billionaires.
I'm literally not a billionaire, and all my volunteers are not billionaires.
It also means the political circus will likely be playing once again. Sawant's camp did not return emails today requesting comment on the developments, although her camp did tweet a statement asking for donations, saying, quoting now, the right-wing campaign had turned in their signatures and it planned to fight, quote, blatant voter suppression. Already, the Sawant Solidarity Camp has raised $625,000. The ballots backers have done the same. That's the story live tonight at King County Elections Office. I'm Chris Daniels, King 5 News.
Wow, we have said that this was going to be something that turns up in terms of the heat. I mean, you know, we talked about this several times as we continue to follow this story. And honestly, we see that it is people on both sides of this issue that are, whether they are, you know, have wealth or not. This is not about that. And ultimately, you know, there was folks that really thought that what she did was incorrect and they're looking for a correction here. Then there's also the strong Sawant supporters that say, you know, clearly we need somebody that's going to take bold measures as she did there. So this is again, something very heated at this point. We're going to have to follow this though.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, there's a lot of money that's out there, but Sawant raised over 600,000, and these other guys who call Sawant probably have about the same amount, is what they're saying. I think one of the issues here, though, and this is why I tell people to stay away from the hyperbolic, statements on either side of this, because like, for example, you have some people who are on the recall Sawant side who are just, they're not billionaires, they're not, right wingers or anything like that. They're mad that Sawant's been quiet about what's been going on in the Central District, especially impacting these young Black people, issues around gun violence and everything else. This directly happening in District 3, and so there's elements that are in there. And then there's also people, of course, that are supporting Sawant because, which like working with Reverend Jeffries and these guys or whatever. But we as the public do ourselves a disservice just to look at the sound bites coming out of either one of these camps, because the sound bites, like I said, on recall Sawant would just have you thinking that Sawant is just, totally out there and isn't doing anything for her district. Well, that isn't necessarily true. But then, on the other side, when Sawant is saying that, oh, it's only rich, conservative billionaires that want her recalled, that as well is not true. And like I said, there are a lot of poor Black people who aren't rich, they're not white, and they're not conservative, who are very unhappy with the council member. And I know that the council member is used to like a fight. That's the thing. It's this: we fight, we win. That's the call to action there with Sawant and her party. But some people in our community don't need a fist right now. They need a hug. Some things need to be addressed. And so, again, it's up to you guys. You're out there. You're smart enough. If you live in District 3, you're either going to vote to recall or you're going to vote to keep Sawant in office. And, you're smart enough to do that. But I would just say, don't go for the clickbait or the sound bites on either side of this issue. People should really kind of peel back and really get to the root of these things.
I agree. I mean, this is exactly why I think it's so important for us to be following stories like this, because ultimately we want to be sure that people are really well informed. And, when we think about the nuances of why this even got to a recall, why there was even an effort to do this, we want to be really engaged and educated. And I think, you're right, Omari, when we talk about this kind of clickbait and sound bites, it's up to us to be informed. It's up to us, and especially those in District 3 now, to really be engaged in this situation and in this recall. Whether you're saying, we actually appreciate some of the things that Sawant is doing. Yes, there's almost always something that politicians can be doing more or better. And we see that through, various polls out there that are talking about satisfaction from any council member. So I think that we have to be really, engaged in all of this. For all of you out there in District 3, I agree with Omari, make sure that you guys are informed as you make this decision.
Right, and I see in some of the comments, this is good. People, put your opinion in the comments. Somebody said you can't recall someone because they pushed the envelope. And that is one opinion. But you got a whole other group in the community who's like, the envelope was never picked up. You see what I'm saying? It just depends, I guess, what I'm saying, on the issue you're in. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of white people who a lot of the issues that Sawant has championed and everything else. And it's like, man, and they feel that and they're really behind her. And then there's a good amount of Black people who feel very neglected by the council member. There's still time. The vote's not going to happen in November. But you know what I'm saying? I would recommend that, like I said, people really look at all these issues in totality.
Yeah.
And, know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there. Let's see, what do we have up next here? Oh, so the Seattle Police Department, they put a warning out for you guys that like to buy stuff on Offer Up. Recent robberies prompt Seattle police to urge caution with Offer Up and Facebook Marketplace meetups. Seattle Times. This is from Christine Claridge. So basically, you already know it's going down. People, it's going up. Put your hands up. You know what I'm saying? People are getting robbed on Offer Up and Facebook and some of everything else. And so we got some tips here. And in this article, from the links there in the comments there from the Seattle Times. And so they have some tips, and we'll put those up right now. All right, so first set, never share confidential information with another person, such as passwords or phone numbers, or communicate through the app, right? Always buy and sell in well-lit, monitor public sites, such as cafes, grocery stores, or public parking lots during a busy time. SPD is saying that, I think for their north, southwest, and south precincts, you go use their parking lot. Tell a friend or family member where you're going. Take your cell phone. We've also got another slide here. Consider having a friend go with you. On Facebook, you can create a meetup plan. Look at this, a meetup plan, and share this plan through Facebook Pass Messenger. Whoever you choose to share your plan with will receive the location, time, and date where you're planning to meet. Be wary of people who ask for phone numbers or passwords or send you a link that requires you to log in. Never click those links. And lastly, and probably most importantly, trust your instinct.
You know, this is really great. These are great tips. And honestly, it's unfortunate that we have people that are abusing systems, but that is something that is part and parcel of our history. We know that when something new comes up, a new way of, providing goods or services, there's folks that are looking to try to get over on that. And so this is these are some really great tips for folks to be remembering. And really, a lot of these tips echo things that we've talked about in the past with online shopping in general, right? When we're talking about password sharing, you shouldn't have to share your passwords. Clicking into links that people send you, you shouldn't have to do that if it's really about exchanging of goods and services. I mean, ultimately, these are really great, tips. And I'm encouraging all of you that are out there as online shoppers and doing marketplace and Offer Up in particular, be cautious, right? And like it said there at the end, man, follow your instincts when you can. It's a tough world, man. People are trying to find their ways, bro.
Yeah, don't get jacked on Offer Up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
that's real.
You know what I'm saying? On the real. Be safe out there. There's a lot of robberies happening in the city just all together. Yeah. And like Offer Up just kind of makes it even easier for somebody if they want to, So, you can find those tips as well in the article. The link should be there in the comments, and you can read up on that more. Something else here. It's coming from the South Seattle Emerald via Public Cola. Durkin won't sign crowd control weapons bill, raises specter of court challenge. South Seattle Emerald, Publicola, Paul Keeper wrote this one here. So basically, it says here, Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin has refused to sign the city council's recent ordinance restricting the Seattle Police Department's use of crowd control weapons, allowing the bill to become law while the city awaits federal district court's go-ahead to implement the changes to SPD's tactics and arsenals. So now with this right here, the mayor has done this quite a few times on things where it's like she won't block it, but she also won't sign it. Not signing it, it just will become law. And a few times when she's done that before, you find that things end up in court. She used to be, a lawyer for a federal prosecutor. And so she'll just kind of sit back and be like, yeah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? The issue is here, right, is that any law or policy change for the Seattle Police Department, it has to be cleared through the federal monitor, which is Judge Robart under the consent decree. And we saw, like last year, there was a law that was passed to ban tear gas. And in the final hour before it was supposed to go into effect, basically the federal government, they came with an injunction, They came with an injunction. They took it to court with Judge Robart, and he said that they couldn't implement that because it had to go through a process. So the process is still here to be determined as to what this new ordinance will even be able to be implemented through the consent decree. But we got this link there in the comments. The council bill, which passed unanimously in August, bans officers from using disorientation devices like blast balls or ultrasonic cannons under any circumstances, with the exception of flashbang grenades, which will still be available to SWAT teams. It also allows officers to use pepper spray and tear gas to move crowds of protesters, but only in response to a violent public disturbance, a legal term to describe violence committed by a group of 12 or more people. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? The mayor didn't sign it. It's gonna, the ordinance is gonna come in, and then we'll just see if it stands up to the consent decree and the federal monitor, Judge Robart.
Well, this is really a lot, I think, when we think about the layers of all of this. So it's not just something that's stopping with the mayor. This is something that goes on when we talk about this consent decree and having a specific judge that's really being the one that's overseeing the entire process. There's a lot to consider here. And you know what? You're right. Like, not signing something just means eventually it'll become law. I think we have a lot of people out there that really put their lives on the front lines when we're thinking about, getting out there and, doing peaceful protests and being met with this brute force. So this is something that a lot of people are concerned about, really wanting to make sure that as, a city, there's real specific measures that are taking place to ensure that that same level of brute force is not utilized again. So I'm sure there's a lot of people following this one real closely.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this goes over to the federal monitor now to Judge Robart and make a determination if this could be implemented under the consent decree. All right, our next headline comes from the Capitol Hill Seattle blog and Justin Carter. How mandatory housing affordability and Seattle's congested growth made this Central District pot shop, Central District pot shop, one of the hottest piece of properties in the city. And so this is Ponder. Remember Ponder?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Ponder basically, let me pull up these notes here. So basically, it says here, one of the few coveted parcels in the city that can be licensed for marijuana retail has hit the real estate market in the Central District. But demand for the property isn't being driven by pot entrepreneurs. It's being driven by developers. The demand for new housing development has driven the real estate investors who own the property to put Ponder Shop and the neighboring single-family style house they purchased next door on the market for $3.15 million. They purchased the property 7 years ago for a combined $1.2 million. Now, according to Windermere, who has this listed, this is a unique opportunity to obtain one of the last remaining large parcels in a location where demand for development is at a premium. And what the article goes on to talk about is how upzoning, this is something that some of our viewers talk about here a lot, how upzoning, especially there on that corner, there's a lot of buildings there, has driven the price up, and for demand for space there on that block. There's a lot of buildings there. Africa Town has a building there, getting ready to have two. Lake Union Partner has 3 buildings there, and then of course Ike's on the corner. So, but yeah, 1.2 million to 3.1.
This is so many things I could say about this one right here, because honestly, when we think about how developers drive up the demand for these parcels of land, there is, some would say, hey, our city, is desirable. It's a desirable spot. But there's so many in community who say, like, well, why is it that all of these parcels of land are getting utilized by for-profit developers who have no idea about the history of that block? And that's right there on Union, for those of you who do not know. And Union has really, really suffered some of the most development. When I think about, the areas for me, it's Union and Jackson that have just been crammed with building after building that really do not represent the history and culture of the neighborhood. And this is something that is, for me personally, it's a bit disheartening, because you're really hoping that, hey, Ponder's a small pot shop. It has that house there. And also for me, I have personal history with this block because my grandmother had her beauty salon right there next to Ponder. So I grew up actually being raised in a small salon that was right there. And when I think about the way that it was then, it's obviously starkly different now. Some of those things are beneficial to the city with regard to revenue driving practices, but for many of us that really are from the Central District, I'm not sure that folks want to see another huge development happening right there in that space. It's a tough one for me,
Yeah, well, I mean, so the thing is right now is the land is for sale. It's not sold, but it's for sale. And so this might be a good opportunity for Africatown Community Land Trust or Jebediah Gardner or anybody else. You know what I'm saying? If it's going to be sold anyway, and they're putting it up on the market, it's a good opportunity for Black developers to maybe come in there and purchase that land and then put something there that they feel is suitable for the space.
I agree. I think with a heavy price tag like 3.2 million, you said, that's maybe difficult for any of the Black developers or community developers to even be thinking about this space. I think if the owners want to think about social equity with regard to this sale, then there is an opportunity for Black developers or nonprofit developers to come in and do something different with this space that would be actually representative of the history there in the area of the Central District. But when you're talking about it being unprecedented from Windermere's perspective, immediately you understand that there's a lot of for-profit developers that are probably circling this opportunity to buy a parcel of land. It is something that I'm sure lots of folks out there in community are thinking about now that we're putting it out there. This is something that's out there for sale. I think that it would be really great to see a different pathway when we think about real estate development. I've been talking to folks in community about this for a long time, that when we have owners who really understand that, hey, with this parcel of land, I can do something different and really build social equity and social capital into the sale of this parcel of land, then we have a win-win situation where, not only is it going to be, redeveloped in a way that really represents community, but also we're able to begin to change that narrative. And it goes back to that quote that we had of the day, without struggle, there's no progress. And when I think about real estate here, specifically in the city of Seattle, there's a lot of different opinions out there about how to go about it. But I think when we think about some of the great solutions around it, we've seen that in some projects when it comes to social equity, and that being the leading driver for the sale of the land. So you're right. Oh, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I was just sitting here while you were talking and going in here. I mean, Jebediah Gardner, $40 million Central District development. So I think that $3 million is definitely within reach of our community if people in our community actually wanted to go, on it. We've got a lot of people who are either in development, like somebody like Jebediah Gardner. On the private sector, you have organizations like Africatown Community Land Trust. You got all these ball players that are out there. It's up on the market right now. It would be interested, whatever route it goes, that somebody who has a vested stake in Black community would pick it up and see how they can develop it.
I like your optimism. Oh, I'm here for it all day.
Yeah, this brother right here, private sector. $40 million deal, no tax break, no government, no nothing. And so he's already set an example that this can be done. Yeah. This parcel of land is less than 10% of the cost of the deal that they just closed there at Mount Calvary. And so, I'm not saying that that's something he would do, but clearly it is doable within our community. We don't necessarily have to be waving a white flag saying oh man, it's over, whatever. It's just for sale. You know what I'm saying? Just like Mount Calvary was for sale, I guess 2 years ago.
I'm not waving a white flag. I want to make sure I make that very clear here. I think what I'm trying to do is really set a precedence for how parcels of land, particularly on Union, have been going. And I think that that's where I'm at when we think about Windermere saying it's unprecedented. There's obviously some desire for-profit developers in this. And I encourage anybody out there who thinks that this is something that they can take on, whether it is someone like a Jebediah or, Africatown Community Land Trust, I'm all for that. I think that being able to understand the ways that a lot of those parcels of land up and down Union have been going, we have to be really mindful of it. I think we have Liberty Bank Building as a great example, Africatown Plaza, as you mentioned, both great examples right there on the block. And then just right around the corner, you're going to have Mount Calvary, another example of what can be done when we look at, being really intentional. I think one of the great things about that particular deal with Mount Calvary was the pastor and his wife and those who were involved in the leadership there, they were really specific about who they wanted to sell to. And so again, I think it goes back to my original comment of, when the owners of that land right there at Ponder are thinking about it in that regard, you can actually see some beautiful things happen. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I want to go talk to the ownership at Ponder and see what's their plan, and people can read more. This article is there in the comments. You can read more about it. Great coverage as usual by Justin Carter at Capitol Hill Seattle blog. And that might be a conversation for the people over there. Hey, who are you selling this to?
Yeah.
Man with community, things like that. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk about Seattle's hometown airline, Alaska Airlines, and their commitment to the HBCU Challenge. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Market Street Shoes, slinging kicks since 2006, with styles that support you and yours, getting the F outside or staying comfy when you just want to lounge indoors as well. But wait, Market Street Shoes is way more than just a shoe store. Gear up for your next outdoor adventure with apparel and accessories that'll have you looking good on the streets, the trail, or even in your own backyard. With locations in Ballard, Redmond, and online at marketstreetshoes.com, there's undoubtedly a style and size that'll fit your lifestyle.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I want to leave some space here to cover what I really feel is an important story involving Seattle's hometown airline, historically Black colleges and universities, which we both attended right here, and Alaska Airlines once again being a leader in their industry. So Alaska Airlines joined the Congressional Bipartisan HBCU Caucus. It says here, Alaska announces plans to join HBCU Partnership Challenge. And this is from Congresswoman Alma Adams' office. Alma Adams represents the QC, the Queen City down in Charlotte, North Carolina. And what it is the Congressional Bipartisan HBCU Caucus, which is great because there's not much bipartisanship there in Washington, D.C. And it's Democrats and Republicans who have formed the caucus to try to figure out the best ways to support historically Black colleges and universities. Now, Alaska Airlines, what is this challenge, right? So the challenge is a public pledge. It's an announcement that your organization is at the table and committed to create strategic partnerships with our nation's HBCUs. It's an acknowledgement that HBCUs, which produce top minority talent and are part of your diversity and inclusion efforts, right? And so Alaska, which was oddly enough, hometown right here in the Emerald City, the very first airline to join this HBCU challenge. And considering that Delta, United, and American are all their headquarters there in the South in Georgia and Texas. But here you go, Alaska Airlines all the way out here from Seattle.
Man, shout out to the folks over at Alaska Airlines making tremendous strides when it comes to being intentional about your inclusion and diversity and equity efforts. I mean, really, this is beautiful because, when we think about all of the ways that we can create amazing pipelines for the great and brilliant talent that is coming out of HBCUs, it's great to understand that they will be able to be cemented in amazing companies and industries like Alaska Airlines and like really you guys may have set a precedence for all of your fellow airline folks down there, like Omari just said in the South. You guys being the first speaks a lot to the values that you're holding core internally and now showing it externally. So great work, Alaska Airlines. I'm excited because you're right, man. Anytime that we can support and shout out to the amazing things happening from right here in the Pacific Northwest, man, I'm all for it. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, no doubt. And so we got a quote right here. This is from Ben Minicucci. This is the Alaska Airlines CEO. Said at Alaska Airlines, we're on a journey to ensure everyone belongs and has the opportunity to be their best self. We've also made a commitment to achieve goals for diverse representation in leadership and beyond aviation. That's why we're proud to be the first airline to join the HBCU Partnership Challenge. We still have a lot of work to do, but we're grateful to partner with HBCUs and the HBCU Caucus to learn and to deepen our ability to develop, attract, and grow phenomenal talent. And so that's Ben Minicucci. That's the Alaska Airlines CEO right there. And, like I said, Trey, me personally, we've got this whole story here with Alaska Airlines. And actually, we're going to play the commitment because it plays into this, right? Is that why I don't think that this is just some PR thing from Alaska, like, oh, we joined this partnership, this will be good, let's send out a press release, is, they're really living their values. Yeah. And we saw that up front and close when me and Jake Gravbrot were out there at SeaTac, and we saw the commitment, the aircraft there. They partnered with the United Negro College Fund, and Alaska Airlines has been a partner with the UNCF going into their 16th year. Yeah. And that's a lot of stuff people don't know. And so this is their actual lived values right here. And that's why I wanted to be intentional today in uplifting Alaska Airlines, because, especially we got our hometown airline here doing something like this, it's important that we acknowledge it and we also uplift what they're doing.
Absolutely, it is. And I love that. And you're absolutely right around the commitment because, right here at Converge, we were able to see it firsthand. And through that piece, we were able to share it with the audience. But I think that, when we see that there's a lot of ways that you can be intentional about building relationships and ensuring that, what you're talking about in terms of values is showcasing through your actions. That is the key here, because we actually deal with, we talked about earlier, sound bites and, hey, PR opportunities and, photo opportunities. But ultimately, it's about how you really respond to it and showcase it through your actions. So I love that they are being very, very specific about how they're doing that. Oh,
yeah, exactly. And so what we want to do right here, and this is how, like I said, that why I feel the way I do in seeing this news from Alaska Airlines is we're going to play the commitment. This was something that we filmed back in April when they launched this aircraft called the Commitment in partnership with the United Negro College Fund.
My first thought was, oh my God, I'm on this plane. This is so big, so revolutionary. No other airline has ever done this before, so this is really the coolest thing in the whole wide world. My dad is one of the people that works with the diversity, equity, and inclusion team here at Alaska Airlines, and so they asked those that had children that wanted to be on the plane to submit some things, and here I am. I'm so excited. These images, yes, it's us, but it's also every other Black child in America. And that's kind of the point of why the images are kind of vague. It's everybody. I think that if this had not come to fruition, I think that many people wouldn't have known that UNCF and Alaska have had a partnership for so long as well, for 15 years. And yeah, I think this kind of just brings it all out and makes it really obvious. I don't know if anyone saw this, how could you not know at that point? It's right there.
I always knew Alaska was a great company, was going to do the right thing, but I never dreamed we'd get to this point. It is absolutely gorgeous. The message it's sending out to our kids and to the world, and what it reflects on Alaska Airlines. I've always been so proud of this company, and they keep finding ways to make me prouder and prouder.
When you see this airplane and what it represents, it's absolutely amazing. And so it kind of gives you a little bit of goosebumps about what we're doing for the future generation. And so this is just an airplane that really represents that partnership that we've had with them for quite a long time, and continued partnership going forward as well.
I've been with Alaska Airlines since June 17th of 1991, and to work for a company that has this prestigious aircraft that I'm standing in front of today, what an honor. I can proudly say today, I'm very much proud to be an Alaska Airlines flight attendant. We've donated to the UNCF, which is the organization to help prosper young minorities, black children, in their education so they could strive in their communities and give back to their communities. We're the only airline with such a beautiful aircraft. As always at Alaska Airlines, we're the first to strive to the top.
I think they're making a statement across the world. This plane is going to be a big attention getter, as you can see.
We knew when we first started off that there was one quote that we were going to do. Ended up being two, so there's one on each side. Originally, it was just working with the Dr. King quote, so I was trying to use some civil rights era inspiration going into it, and that led to the overall style that we sort of finalized on. It's an incredible feeling. I'm not even sure what it means yet, and I don't think I'm going to fully grasp it or understand it until I see it in the sky, and I see it at airports. Seeing a plane that is, one, painted black, but also has black faces painted on it, is something that's crazy. It's striking. It looks totally different than every other plane you see on the tarmac, so I think it's going to be a really unique thing to see.
A lot of people ask me the story of this journey, how we got here with this airplane. Well, we unleashed the creativity of our people, our employees, and our wonderful marketing team that's here. And we said, go create something that will always be a symbol of our commitment and what we're all about at Alaska and our values that will be with us for at least 10 years. And this is what they came up with. Isn't it pretty incredible?
We want to increase the sense of belonging at Alaska Airlines. We want to increase representation. And we also want to be leaders in the community. We are serious about this commitment, and this aircraft is a representation. This, what I call, is a flying billboard of hope.
I actually had tears falling from my eyes just from seeing what we have accomplished, where we're headed. Like I said, we're not there yet, but just seeing the commitment that we've made, the public statement, I mean, it is so moving. I can't tell you how big it is to go from 2D to 3D.
Oftentimes people are afraid to do what I call rock the boat. There's one foot in and there's one foot out, but they don't want to put both feet in. They say, we want to do this, we don't know how, or we want to do this, but this is not a but. This is, we want to do this, and we did it, and now we're moving forward, and that is so commendable.
Yes.
Alaska is now leaders in the industry for doing something like this, and it will spark so much change. It will change the narrative, and we will start to see ourselves reflected so much more.
That is what HBCUs do. They create opportunity. They give us a chance to shine. They're a place where young people of color and anybody will go and they'll be nurtured and they'll take their next step into our country. And they're better citizens, they're better neighbors, and they are going to change the trajectory of where we're going. This is why we say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. We have 7 million miles that we can give to kids, and we're going to be having 1 million miles a year for 10 years.
This plane for me represents hope, and it represents inspiration. And it reminded me of how important representation really is, and how important it is to be able to see yourself in something bigger, and to see people that look like you, and to see yourself being more than maybe what you thought you could be.
We hope that all the black children who see this plane can see themselves on it as well, and in that way
it's not just 14 of us on this plane, it's millions.
Now, who wants to go on a spin on this beautiful airplane?
I want to kind of highlight, we have some special guests on board. So first of all, we have Jim Wiley. So Jim Wiley, 25 years retired airline captain here at Alaska, but he was the first black pilot we hired here at Alaska Airlines. So awesome. Bring him out of retirement, I'm going to have a fun run with us and fly with us, of course. So.
You know what? That is such a beautiful story always, and ties so much into how Alaska Airlines is truly, leading the industry with their commitments all around. Oh, you know what? For us who went to HBCUs, we understand that there's so much brilliance and value that is added as these folks graduate year over year. And honestly, I love knowing that Alaska Airlines is saying, we're going to make sure that we have a pipeline to bring that brilliance into our company and make our company better. I agree all the way with it. And that right there is another example of their driving commitment. I mean, they're leading their industry with these kind of commitments. So, in being like, hey, we're putting it out there, we're making sure our partnership, our connection, our relationship to the UNCF, to HBCUs is clear and evident.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, these days, people are really being intentional about putting their money with companies that represent their values. And Alaska Airlines makes a great proposition right here for somebody who wants to spend with companies who have great values. Alaska Airlines is definitely one of them. Before we go to break here, I want to give a big shout out. That was Jake Gravbrot out there at the terminal there at SeaTac, the big fella, got all this footage, and then Gary Washington was the editor.
Amazing. I love it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're talking about FAST. There we go. Fathers and sons together. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. So Trey, we got another nice feel-good segment right here. And this is fathers and sons together. They've been doing some stuff here this summer in August, and then also a few weeks ago at Rainier Beach Community Center. Mm-hmm. And really it's their barbershop talk, and it happened outdoor, which was kind of dope. And also a panel. There was a panel there as well, and lots of discussions. They talked about a lot of different things, talked about the impacts of COVID, of course, in the community, gun violence, education, some of everything else. We put this segment together in collaboration with FAST and the Department of Neighborhoods. And this is the 5-minute segment. And we just wanted to share this with you right here. Fathers and sons together.
The Barbershop Chat is a unique event that has always brought fathers and sons together. It's a place where they have conversations. It's a place of laughter. It's a place of food. It's a place of deep conversations. And it's not necessarily a father. We recognize that our community has a lot of fatherless homes. It's for the mothers that are standing in that gap. It's for the aunties and the coaches, all of those adult figures that stand in the gap for those parental roles. It's important for events like this to bring them out, to have those conversations, and to empower our youth and to empower that relationship. That's where bonds are formed.
We've got a lot of topics today that we're going to be discussing, some of which is going to be education and gun violence. If any of you have been aware, recently there's been a recent string of gun violence.
We are losing far too many young people to violence.
Gun violence is definitely a huge topic to discuss, but I think the first thing you probably want to think about is prevention versus intervention.
We have created a culture of death in our community. Today we are creating a culture of life.
When we invest in our youth, you know, these shirts acknowledge we are amazing, and I look at all of the talent that all of our youth have, and then to see it literally at times when you have it, where you're at a shooting scene, lost so quickly. And we really need to make sure that those programs have those investments, they have everything, so we're not seeing that violence on the streets.
I know that the person who killed Connor is not the most evil person in the world. I know that that person needed something, because if they had all the love and mentorship and were a part of all these programs that are sitting on the panel in front of us, they wouldn't have been able to take someone else's gifts away so easily.
It's so important. We have got to give our kids something to do, an alternative to negative problems, an alternative to hanging around with negative people. Because if we don't give them something to do, somebody else will. And that's what we're trying to get away from.
You know, that's one of the things that I always say. You know, I would rather buy books, I would rather share books instead of going downtown putting money on books for someone. So I believe that intervention is so important. It keeps those young men focused. It keeps them without getting in trouble.
But let's have a conversation about COVID, and let's have a conversation about how that's impacting us as a community, how that's impacting us as individuals, and what we can do to be safe, to support each other, and to think about building a healthier community overall.
We have, black and brown people, now just speak more specifically to black people, have taken on a lot. We lead in the number incarcerated, in those suffering from diabetes, hypertension, HIV, an epidemic that still is ongoing that we don't really talk about. And yet now we're faced with something that we actually don't have to own, that we have some steps that all of us can one-on-one in our families and in our circles address, so that we are not taking on one more negative disparity or a gap.
And make sure that what we see in the internet is something that is validated rather than misinformation. And it could be very difficult to decipher and distinguish what is evidence-informed and what is misinformation.
Most of the problem is mostly trusting in the people to keep their mask on or to get vaccinated and keep each other safe.
On one hand, going back to school means that we would get a better education, and learning online is never easy. You don't have the classroom setting, it's harder to ask questions, so there's all these obstacles you have to face. But going back also, like it was spoken, is giving so much trust into your peers, and you getting COVID doesn't only mean that your life is affected, it also means the people around you, your loved ones, are also affected.
What community means to me is a group of people come together, celebrate their differences, and enjoy time together. People that won't knock each other down, people that lift you up, people that you enjoy spending time with.
So in order to maintain a community, any community, especially this one, is to give the people in that community a voice toward their own future.
we all got to be willing to just not talk about it, but to invest in it. Because if we're not putting our time and our treasure into building up our young people, building organizations for them, structures for them, giving them resources and opportunities, then we're just talking. And we got to stop talking. We got to start doing something that's going to give them an alternative, give them something else different to do.
What makes me amazing is all of who I am. All of who I am a son, I am a brother, I am a member of the community, I am a student, I am a loving family member. Most importantly, I'm a young black man in America. What makes the community amazing is all of what it is. It is diverse, it is loving, it is caring. They support you in good times and bad times. And the community is always there to support you and always there if you need someone to reach out to.
Wow. Yes, yes, yes. These efforts right here are exactly why it's so important for us to be engaged and involved. I mean, something that was said there was, what are we really doing when we just talk about it? No, we have to be about it. We have to do it. And that's what Fathers and Sons Together Fast is doing when they have these barbershop series, bringing in, panelists to speak to young people and really showcasing an amazing positive pathway for young folks to take. I think when we have more and more of these kinds of examples, that's really what we're talking about when we talk about building community and being in community. It's being able to move with that sense of, empathy and care, for our folks and for our elders, our young folks, all in between, because that's really what's necessary right now to move these mountains that we have. And I just love that FAST is doing this effort. It was a great piece there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Shot by Carlos Imani and Steve Hickey and a bunch of other crew. I don't have everybody's names in front of me. But yeah, no, they did a good job. But also, Larry and Kathy Wilmore, this is 10 years of FAST and being out there and making this commitment to community. And again, this is the other side of the coin. A lot of people we don't talk about as much, but this is a prevention. It's prevention and intervention. And we talk a lot about intervention, but it's important to also recognize that there's organizations out there like FAST that are committed to prevention. So, and basically what that is creating opportunities and pathways for young people so they don't, let's say, get into trouble, and that's where they go down the intervention path. So good stuff, Larry, Kathy Wilmore, the people at FAST, and, keep it up. Yeah. Getting to the top of the hour, Trey Holiday.
Yeah, I know. It's about that time already. I mean, I'm just going to always remind you guys to see yourself as a part of the solution. Clearly, the Wilmores have done that, and so many others that we really love to showcase right here on the Morning Update Show are constantly doing that. We see it even with Alaska Airlines today in their commitment to HBCUs and creating that pipeline for diversity in their company. I think for any of you that are out there, this is something that is really the work of all of us. That's why it's my constant message, man. Find a way to see yourself as a part of the solution.
All right, good stuff. So for today is Thursday. So tonight at 7 p.m., it's Clapback Culture with Julia Jesse and Mike Davis. Always excited for that. Well, make sure and tune in. I don't think we got anything else. Tomorrow we've got lots of event stuff to talk about. Oh, and speaking of events, it's way up there. We forgot to mention this. Welcome Back Weeks. This is at the Paramount Theater tomorrow from 4 to 10 p.m. And this is Welcome Back Seattle there at Borealis Light Show. I know you were saying we're going to hit the light show, right?
Yeah, I'm ready to see it, man. I love a good light show.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, everybody. It's about that time. I want to remind you to go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rise.